How strong is carbon fiber? Well, check this out. This is my 3-pound tailgate, and I was just standing on it with ease. That's pretty impressive. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am so excited to bring you guys another video on the custom 1968 C10. Now, if you're new to this channel, this is the custom chassis that I built right here in this shop with basic tools. And also, if you check out behind me, there's custom body panels that have been completely reworked, and I'm transforming them one by one into some carbon fiber masterpieces. Now, just like my handmade chassis, I'm gonna build all these carbon fiber body panels right here in this shop without any super sophisticated equipment. And if you watch this video, you're gonna see that I'm gonna use a composite curing oven, but I built that oven right here in the shop as well. If you wanna see the video where I built my composite curing oven, I'll have it linked up on the screen so you can check that out as well. And you can also get resin systems that don't require heat to cure, so you could eliminate the oven right out of the equation and still make beautiful carbon fiber parts. So if you don't really have the budget to build a composite curing oven like I did, just get resin systems that don't require heat to cure and you're golden. In this episode, I want to focus on the rear bedsides. This is going to be my biggest challenge yet. And to give you guys a little rundown of what's been done to these bedsides, if you've never seen them before, it's basically 18 inches shorter than a factory short box C10. The wheel arch has been raised quite a bit as well to fit a bigger tire. And I also added in some wider fender flares. It just absolutely looks mean. These wide body fender flares with the bigger tire, it just works on these trucks. So now that you're up to speed with what my plan is, we gotta get to work. And the first thing I need to do is to make a fiberglass mold. With these box sides completely ready to go, I need to make some sort of stand that's gonna support it, but not be in the way when I'm trying to make the mold. And to do that, I have some plywood kicking around. I'm gonna try to come up with a design that won't interfere with my mold, but it's gonna hold this nice and sturdy so that when I make my 3-piece mold, everything is gonna fit nicely. So that's task number 1, to transform these box sides into carbon fiber. Let's get to work. So my super sophisticated, highly expensive stand is ready to go. It's nice and sturdy. You know, the plug doesn't move much. And I also used some old pool noodles under there to eliminate any sharp edges that could potentially dent this box side. To make this mold release from my bedside when it's cured, I'm gonna have to make the taillight section as one piece and then this main surface as another piece. So I'm gonna make some sort of flange on the edge over here to separate these two pieces. And over at the front of this bedside, we're also gonna make this front piece as one section as well. So it's gonna be the rear in one piece, the front in one piece, and then the main surface as the third piece. 3-piece mold, a little bit more complex than the last 2 molds I've made, but it's a process that we have to go through. Should be interesting. So we got to make some flanges all the way around to separate these pieces. And what I'm going to be using is some aluminum siding. This is the aluminum siding that I'm going to be using to make all my flanges. And I think this stuff is going to work super well. You can actually bend it and it retains its shape. And you can also cut this with scissors. It's super lightweight as well. So over cardboard, I think this is a no-brainer. I've seen some people using cardboard and I have no idea how they make it work. At least with the resin that I have, it's super thick stuff and you have to apply a lot of pressure to spread it on. So that would just tear off completely. So in my opinion, you can't beat aluminum siding for this kind of stuff. So to get my pattern for the shape of my flange, I'm going to use that roll of cardboard to get a template. And then I'll transfer that over to the aluminum siding and that should fit like a glove and I'll tape it up. I'm probably going to use some spray foam to hold everything in place, but we'll see as we go. To make sure that my flanges don't come apart when I start to spread some resin on here, I'm gonna make some sort of wooden brace and I'll use some spray foam to solidify everything. So let's go ahead, figure something out and get this thing super solid. You move stuff around and all of a sudden everything's gone. It's always how it goes. Finally, got my jigsaw. Let's get to work. So after tons of work, my flanges are all ready to go. On the end of the plug here, I made some locators, and this is just half-cut ping pong balls filled with body filler, and these are gonna help get all the pieces aligned when everything is all said and done. You're gonna see what I mean but this is gonna come in super useful, and it's a very neat trick to know if you're ever making multi-piece molds. And to fill in all these seams, I've been using some plastiline wax, I think that's how you say it. But this is just a 2-pound block. I got this from Composite Envisions, and this is the quickest and easiest way to fill in gaps. Super easy to spread. I wouldn't actually say super easy, but you can just put it on with your fingers, then scrape it off with a plastic spreader, and that's it. This was a lot of flange to go around the perimeter and get set up, but everything is smooth. The wax is all in place. Everything is taped up. So we should be ready for the next step, which is the Pardal paste number 2, made by Rexco. So this is just a buff on, wipe off application. I'm gonna have to do 3 coats of that wax. Just finished applying the 3 coats of Pardal paste, and you can see that the part has a nice gloss to it now, which is exactly what you want to see. So I should be ready to go for the next step, which is going to be the PVA. This is a spray-on application, so I'm going to have to do 3 coats of that. The first one being a light mist coat. Then the next 2 coats are going to be flow coats, so that means it's going to be a bit thicker. And that's exactly what I did when I made my carbon fiber headboard, and the mold popped right off of my plug. So let's go ahead, get this box side moved over to the other side of my shop, and then we'll spray it down. So we've been chipping away at the bedsides for a while now, and I just needed a little break to stretch my back. It's a lot of work hunched over, so it gets to you after a while, but I also got a package delivered and I could not wait to open it up. So this is what I just received, super thin. You guys are probably never gonna guess what it is, so we're just gonna go ahead, unbox this. So this package is from Hyperlite, and I am so excited to see how this piece turned out. Let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. Oh man, check that out. That is wicked. No way. I never even thought you could make a custom sign that lights up, that just absolutely looks this cool. I can't wait to hang this up on the wall. Custom logo, custom truck, my very own C10, you know, with the modified wheelbase and everything on the sign. So That's impressive. So a huge thank you to Hyperlite. We gotta plug her in, see if it works. This is just mind-blowing. So after opening up the rest of the packaging, we've got a remote, a transmitter for the remote, our power supply, and I think that's some anchors to mount it up on the wall. That's pretty cool. And a rag to wipe it clean. So that's pretty impressive. We gotta try it out. Now you guys can't tell me that that isn't sick. That's a wicked addition to this shop. And if you guys have man caves or shops or whatever, you can get your very own custom neon sign done. Check out the link in my description and it'll bring you to Hyperlite's website, and use code agtrucks for a discount for any custom neon signs. Trust me, if you guys order something from there, you will not be disappointed. I am so pumped about this sign. That is sweet. I'm gonna leave that on all the time, but we gotta get back to work on our mold. All right, so I just finished spraying those 3 coats of PVA, and I think we got a nice coverage. You can see a green tint throughout the entire part, which is perfect. And you can see the finish. It's a little rough, but you can't really feel it, and I'm not really concerned because I'm gonna be clear coating the final part when everything is all said and done. So that's gonna work out perfectly. So now I have to start spreading that black surface coat, and then we'll be ready for some fabric. So let's get a batch of surface coat mixed. We'll start spreading it on. Man, this stuff is super thick and hard to spread, but we did get the first coat down, and I did miss a few areas. I ran out of material, so you can see on the bottom there and this corner. There's a couple other areas too, but first coat is down. I'm gonna wait till this gets tacky, and then I'll mix a bit more for my second coat now that I know kind of how much I needed. So far so good. Ran the torch, got a few bubbles out. Hopefully that helps out in the long run. In the world of composites, you're always learning, and there's always ways to do things a little more efficiently. So that's what I'm kind of going through right now, just learning how to do things as fast as possible, but doing it right at the same time, because this is super tedious stuff. We are looking good. We've got some good coverage. We should be ready to go to start with the fabric. So I'm gonna mix up a batch of the RDR 2250 in that 5-gallon bucket. And then this is gonna be the tedious part. You know, we have to do 10 layers. For the fiberglass fabric, I'm gonna be using 5.8 ounce fabric for my first 2 layers, followed by 10 ounce fabric. That's gonna be 4 layers. And then Finally, 18-ounce fabric, another 4 layers, so 10 layers total. This is a super tedious step, but has to get done. And all these materials are from Composite Envisions. All the material you're gonna see in today's video is from Composite Envisions. They hooked me up with everything I needed to make my fiberglass molds, all the way to my carbon fiber parts. And if you're looking to get into the composite world, you'll definitely have to check out their website that I'll have linked in the description, and you can get everything you need to make anything composite. Instead of laying down one entire sheet of fabric on top of the entire mold, I'm gonna be using smaller squares this time. And that way it should wrap around the corners a lot easier. And overall, it should be better for air pockets, which are a big no-no. So we're gonna try it out. And then if it works well, I think we'll have something figured out for the rest of our molds. Well, it's the next day after making the mold, and so far so good. Everything has cured. It's rock hard, so that's a good sign. I really want to peel this mold off, but I'm gonna have to hold back. And for now, what I can do is rip off all the braces, the spray foam, and get all the flanges cleared up so that I can make the molds of each ends. So I made the flanges for the end pieces here, and now I'm gonna go crazy with the spray foam again to make sure everything is solidified. So right before leaving the shop last night, I sprayed some PVA on each end of the mold, and it should be dry now. So I'm gonna be doing the exact same thing as I did for the face of my bedside, which is gonna be 2 coats of the black surface coat, like this. And then we're gonna move on to the laminating resin and fabric to finish it up. So it should be pretty straightforward. This isn't a massive piece at least, so it should be relatively quick. This time, first coat, using a brush, then I won't scratch the PVA or anything. So lesson learned, and we're gonna do it right this time. So this is 10 layers of fabric, and I added some extra pieces where the flange is gonna be to add a bit of strength there, because that's probably where we're gonna pry the most to get this thing to release. So wanted to get a bit of strength just to make sure nothing cracks, but hopefully this works out. What a job. That is tedious work, but we did get both ends done. I was working on this side and my dad was actually working on the other side. So if this one works and the other side fails, I know exactly who to blame. But in all seriousness, it went pretty well. No real major hiccups. So hopefully once we get this thing oven cured, that no issues come up. But I can't wait to peel this thing open. I'm also super glad we shortened these bedsides, because if this was a long box, it would have been like double the mold. And I don't even know how long that would take. I don't want to think about it. So thankfully these are shortened up, and it's a good practice for when we start making our parts for the cab, because that's going to be some pretty big parts. But first we have to successfully do this one. Don't want to speak ahead of myself. So waiting game now. We're going to let this cure for 24 hours. And tomorrow we're going to peel this open like a Christmas gift. And I can't wait. So my room temperature cure is pretty much done. Everything is solidified, so it means my ratios were correct when I mixed my resin. So I'm super excited about that. So I'm gonna try to wedge some plastic spreaders in between the fabric and my mold. And hopefully I can crack this thing little bit by little bit and not break anything in the process. It's releasing, so that's a good sign. PVA really works well. I'm super impressed with it. Should be close to releasing now. Let's see if I can, oh, there we go. We got her. Let's see. Man, that looks super good. First glance, we don't have any major issues. Think we're in luck. Cool. Super cool trick with the little ping pong balls as well. I think that's gonna work out really well. So of course, this is the section that I wanted to capture in my mold, and that's exactly what we did. The mold looks really good. Of course, it's dirty. I'm gonna have to clean up this old wax with water. Super easy to do, but you know, we don't really have any issues with it. This side could be a little bit more tricky just because there's a few more bends and turns and corners, but hopefully we get the same result as the other side. Man, this part is super satisfying when it works. Should be close to getting this thing to pop out. Try to pry it bit by bit here. There we go. Well, our plate stuck to our mold, but no big deal. Man, that looks really good as well. I think we have this figured out. That is so cool. So that's what the taillight section looks like straight out of the mold. Obviously, we have some wax removal to do on this side as well, but every little detail is there. No cracks, no holes. So I think we are dialed. With the PVA peeled off, the mold looks amazing. There's a couple little issues, but very easily fixable. And obviously the surface finish is the exact same as when I sprayed the PVA. So I'm gonna have to sand it down and get it real shiny and smooth. But that's gonna be after I bake this in my oven, because that could make a few blemishes appear. So I wanna make sure that all the blemishes are out before I fix up the finish and buff it smooth. But this is very exciting. So now I'm gonna try if the ends fit, and then if they do, I'm gonna trim off the edges, and then we'll be ready to throw this in the oven. Fits like a glove. Yep, that fits. That is a huge relief. The mold turned out amazing, and it really wasn't too bad to make. So I can't really ask for much better than that. So now I'm gonna trim off the excess fabric, and then tomorrow we're gonna throw this in my oven, and hopefully the oven cure doesn't uncover any hidden mysteries with this mold, because I've seen that happen with my headboard. A bubble randomly appeared, but I'm hoping that this one, we got all the air pockets out and that it just comes out exactly the way I put it in. The other day, I fired up my oven, turned on the heat, and what do you know? The window just cracked out of nowhere. So what's another job on the list? It's always something. So the mold is fresh out of the oven, and honestly, there's not much difference from when I threw it in there. So I can't ask for a better turnout. There is one small issue with the rear taillight section. So on this taillight section, I did have a small bubble that I just popped by accident with my finger. So I'm gonna have to repair that, which is no big deal. Just a bit more black surface coat, and then I'll sand it and you won't even know it's there. So if that's the only issue, I am happy with that. And of course, when I sprayed my PVA, there was a bit of orange peel. So I'm gonna sand all of this mold with, I think I'm gonna do 600 grit wet, and I'll see how that finish looks like. So I just quickly hit this mold with 400 grit wet, and I got rid of most of the orange peel, but I'm gonna go over everything with 600 again, and then I'll buff the entire thing once that's done. So I'm gonna do that in the next episode. I'm gonna get ready to make some carbon fiber parts with this thing. And right now I'm just mentally preparing on how I'm gonna bag this thing and how I'm gonna lay my fabric. What I'm thinking right now is I'm gonna probably make a seam right on the edge of my flare here with the fabric. And if I can get a super clean seam, I think that's gonna help straighten out the weave around the entire, or on the flat sections, I should say, of this bedside. What do you carbon fiber experts think I should do? Should I just do one solid sheet of carbon on this mold, or should I just have a seam like I mentioned with the flare? I'm leaning towards doing the flare, but if you guys think I could do that without really messing up the weave, maybe I'll just do it with one solid piece of carbon. So now that my mold has turned out the way I hoped it would, it's almost time to make a carbon fiber part. I'm very excited to see how much that's gonna weigh. It's gonna be mind-blowing. And also, I know if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you notice that there's been kind of a lack of uploads lately, and there's a big reason for that. As you can see in the background, this is a whole new section of my shop. And it was always here, but it wasn't insulated. It was just studded walls. And we had some skylights that had been leaking for years, which rotted a lot of stuff. So I've been doing some major shop renovations. I also got some heat in here. So drywall, insulation, heat, big job, but it's done. And I can finally focus on the C10 again. And also I've made some massive changes to my personal schedule to allow myself to make some more content for you guys. So you guys can look forward to more content from this channel. And I'm super excited to keep working on this 68C10. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the content of making this fiberglass mold. And next video, we're gonna start to make a carbon fiber bedside for this C10. It's gonna be wild.